get into some recommendations. One of the things that I mentioned, a purpose behind this stream is to not only just talk about what's going on in the indie space and in pop culture and all of that, um, but to also talk about what I actually like. Give recommendations to people because let's be honest, a lot of the popular YouTube channels out there strictly just complain. They just talk about what they don't like, why they don't like it, at nauseum, essentially. And I want to actually give people just some suggestions from things that have entertained me because there's nothing better than getting a recommendation from someone. You go and watch a film or a TV series, with your family or with your wife, and you end up really, really loving it. You end up really appreciating that. That's a lot better than dwelling on kind of the shitty landscape that we have today when it comes to mainstream films, TV, and all that. So, the other thing too is everyone's so hyper focused on what's coming out right now or about to come out. We have decades of fantastic entertainment out there that most people aren't even aware of. Like, there's not even enough time in the day, day after day, to consume all the fantastic entertainment that we're aware of and that a lot of us aren't aware of. And so I want to be able to put a spotlight on some things that folks may not be aware of that could give them hours or days or weeks of entertainment that they didn't know was out there. Um, so that they can, have some enjoyment from that versus just being in despair about how there's nothing new coming out. Man, screw new stuff when it comes to a lot of the mediums. Again, when it comes to like Star Trek and a lot of properties like that, I mean, you can consume the older material just over and over, and it's so great that it's like, well, who cares if they're not doing anything great these days? Because again, the older stuff was so fantastic that I mean, you'll always have that. You can just watch it on repeat if you'd like, and that's what I do, especially when it comes to Star Trek. Um, Before I start that segment, a couple more people in the chat. We have Michelle Bowers, welcome. How's it going? We have Boyd Eyes, welcome. Thanks for being here. All right, let's play a little clip for this. All right. So the first item I'm going to recommend is actually a indie comic that is free for anyone if they're interested, by a friend named Jared Brickley, also known as Frost Comics. So let me pull this comic up here. Let's see. It's more complicated to share things these days on here, it seems. All right. So it's called Morningstar Chronicles: The Ghost of Ashcroft. So again, this is a free comic. If you were to go to Frost Comics Twitter, for example, you'd be able to get a link so that you can essentially just sign up so that you can get the free comic. But definitely a bold move to put out a free comic, right? Trying to get his name out there, get his property out there, and yeah, I really enjoyed this. I mean, obviously, you don't have to worry about shipping. You don't have to worry about waiting for it. It's just right there digitally. And I had talked to him here and there in DMs and stuff about his property because there's some similarities to mine in the sense that he has a really gritty vigilante, one that almost he struggles actually to maintain control, especially given the types of criminals and environment that he has to deal with. And so yeah, I definitely recommend folks check this out. Definitely has some really clean art. I do like this cover a lot with this reflection in the helmet here. Again, just gives you that vibe of having a gritty vigilante here. The art definitely does a good job, especially obviously considering the price. I mean, this is something that I would say he should sell, right, for 10, $15 or something, if he wants to bring this to print in the future. But I would say the story, right, would justify a well-funded campaign, especially if in the future he wanted to like level up on the art, for example, because the character and kind of the vibe that he has going on in the story could be really complemented by certain artists. And I do think it's a really good property and story arc from this single issue so far that definitely has a lot of potential. But obviously you can see got some good violent action scenes and to start out one thing I thought that was really cool you know first off this guy he put in some effort right on a free comic I mean, he had multiple editors. I mean, he had a full team on this, and we need more folks putting this much effort and attention into the stuff that they're printing, right? That would do a lot of justice for crowdfunding in general. But one thing I wanted to highlight here, which is really cool, he said in loving memory of his grandmother, and he's keeping a promise he made her a long time ago. So that's really cool to see that, and that there's some deep roots to this comic for him. So definitely want to get this out in front of people, and make sure that more eyes are on it. But we'll glance through some of the art here, some of the panels. I'm sure he won't mind again since it's free and all that. But yeah, I didn't count the. I think it's like 20. It looks like 25 or so pages. So decent page count for an initial comic here, but definitely a fun read. It had some really smooth dialogue, also some witty exchanges between him and his tech partner. That's essentially behind the scenes here. The one thing that I really enjoyed was the fact that his tech partner, right, could control like his bike remotely, and I love that because it just reminds me of Batman versus Superman, where Alfred takes over, Batman's vehicles, drops him off, on like the third floor of one of those warehouses to take out some of the criminals, and also reminds me of the kind of witty relationship that the accountant has with his partner in that film, which is absolutely fantastic. But yeah, really smooth, engaging story, some really great action scenes, and yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for growth for this property. So definitely check it out. Make sure that you go to Frost Comics Twitter, give him a follow. Also, go to his YouTube channel and subscribe. He's got some awesome videos and debates on there. He's actually been the moderator for the two debates that I've been in, which were a lot of fun. So definitely give him some support. So yeah, that's the indie comic for the week. I want to try to highlight an indie comic that I've read and enjoyed every week, so that folks can either go back it or back an upcoming campaign and maybe pick up an older issue as a catch up tier. So just try to get more eyes on indie projects. All right, the next one is going to be a mainstream TV series. Now, this is a TV series that probably most people will not recognize. It came out, I think, when I was like a junior in high school, so it's like 2005. So yeah, 20 years ago. Sheesh, that makes you feel old. Um, so let me pull up some images here. So this TV series is called Everwood. So obviously, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to showcase is either related to comics or like action films, sci-fi. This was one that um, it's none of those things. It's a just really down to earth emotional story about a family that the father is like a genius brain surgeon, and he loses his wife, and all of a sudden, right, he's a single father to two kids, and he just makes a rash decision to basically move out to the middle of nowhere in Colorado and learn how to be a parent, but also still be involved with medicine and all of that. So it's got just a really heartwarming, family story and some really good character arcs. It was 4 seasons. Definitely deserved more seasons, but was you get a really complete story throughout the 4 seasons. Had some really good casting as well. One thing that you guys will probably notice if you look at some of the promotional images, Chris Pratt was in this. So from Guardians of the Galaxy, Jurassic Park, and all that. This was like his first like big role, I guess you could say. And yeah, he was really good in it. Quite funny, which, as we know, he's can do some pretty funny roles. But definitely suggest folks check this out. I don't know if it looks like it might be. Yeah, it's free on Amazon Prime, but definitely a good show if you're looking for something that you could watch, with your family, and that would have some kind of meaningful um, episodes and things that you could really connect with or relate to. So definitely check that out. Looks like we have a couple more people in the chat here. We have Benjamin Soto. Hail. Benjamin has an active campaign on Fund My Comics still. So definitely check out his work. And he also interviews indie creators, promotes them as well. And we have Katie Did. What's going on? Thanks for joining. She was kind enough to highlight actually a clip from last week's stream on her stream last night, and also highlight my campaign. So thank you again for that. And um, yeah, that was a good audio clip. Obviously, the video was horrendous thanks to the internet issues last week. But yeah, definitely appreciate that. It's great to have you here, and thanks for sharing links as well. We have Len Lurks More. I like that name. How's it going? Welcome. All right. And then let's go on to the next recommendation. So now going to do a mainstream film. I am a bit of a film buff. Definitely like to watch as many films as I have time for, which is not much time these days, but obviously back before having a kid and all that, I was in the theater quite frequently. So let me pull that up. All right. So this one is called Arrival. This one, it flew under the radar to a decent extent. It came out in 2016. I think this was one I saw in the theater at least twice. It was a time where I was just going to the theater constantly. It was the same time I started really getting, heavily into writing, going through a hard time, needed an outlet, distractions, right? And this was one I'm like, oh, looks unique. Had Amy Adams in it. Obviously, a huge fan of the Snyderverse. So I'm like, oh, I'll go check it out. Didn't have high hopes by any means, but this one really, really impressed me. Essentially, it's about first contact with an alien race that arrives on Earth. However, it's not what you would expect out of such such a concept. Essentially, it's more about them trying to communicate with this alien race and understanding what their purpose is there. And this one, I wanted to have this and Everwood on the same segment because this one, even though it's sci-fi, it's a super emotional movie. It's really deep. It's really layered. Um, it's just one of those films that has just a really good message when it comes to family. And like Interstellar, this is one that I have not watched since becoming a dad because I know when I do, it's going to make me tear up. It's got some scenes that can really hit hard, and the music is absolutely beautiful. It's got one of my favorite composers in it, Max Richter. Folks that write novels, definitely check out his music on Spotify. It is fantastic to write prose while listening to his music. And this was directed by Dennis Villanueva, which, as we know, did the two Dune movies, which have been some of the best films in the last 5 or so years. So just one of those directors like Nolan that they're going to go all out and they're just really going to put in the detail and effort that should be expected when it comes to a blockbuster film. So yeah, definitely check this out. Looks like it's on Paramount Plus for the folks that have that. So highly, highly recommend this. Both this and Everwood are in the top 10 when it comes to films and TV series of all time for me. Let's check in on the chat here. Welcome, Johnny Douglas. How's it going? And yeah, Benjamin says good movie. And yeah, more about grief and appreciating what you have than it is about aliens. Exactly. And it has just like this eerie overtone when it comes to the kind of linguistics and the interactions between the humans and the alien race that makes it a mystery and suspenseful. But yeah, exactly. There's a lot of things about grief and yeah, just appreciating what you have. So very good messages in it.